Let's talk about history. Today, I want to go over specifically the origins and the history of the word beard. But first, my name is Dan. I want to say thank you guys for checking out this video today. If you appreciate this content, hit a thumbs up on this YouTube video. And if you're new here and you like learning about beards, please consider subscribing. So the word beard that we know today comes from Western Germanic lingo. Now, the word that originally created all of this is Barthas. Now, I am not an expert by any means in pronunciation, even of my own language, but let alone other languages and ancient languages. So don't take any of the pronunciations too seriously. Just give a little bit of a grain of salt there. But in editing, I will throw up the spelling so you guys can see everything that I'm talking about. But it is Western Germanic. Now, the root of that, the source of that word, we believe may have come from a hypothetical, a non-proven, or just this really old language that is like passed along and we can't exactly prove it, but they call it pi, all capital letters P-I-E, and that word they believe is the base of this, but we can firmly tie it to Western Germanic lingo of Barthas. Now, where it gets really interesting is that root word, that base, has a bunch of different branches of making up what we know today of the term beard and facial hair and everything related, and two of them are my favorite. They would be barb and Bart. Yes, like the names, I don't think the names are related to it, but there are some really interesting relations to those terms of a beard. The first one, let's go over barb, right? Not the name, but where it gets very interesting is a lot of people would say, hey, is that where we get barbarians, right? The Roman military would often shave as a group to have that kind of uniform look to themselves, and they would battle the barbarians. They would battle these tribes that weren't as sophisticated, that weren't as uniform, that didn't wear uniforms, and oftentimes had beards. That would make a lot of sense, right? They would talk about them, and they would call them the barbarians because they had beards, and a root of beard is barb. Unfortunately, no, it doesn't work out when you start cross-referencing and they can start picking apart the words and the roots. They just didn't have the ability to kind of make those connections back then. So that's not related as much as I want it to be as a history lover myself. I think that would make a lot of sense. But one area where it does relate, and it is really interesting, would be the term barber. Right? And there's a lot of angles to the word barber, but this is really important here. What are some of the key differences between a barber and a hairdresser or a hairstylist? It is the ability to work with beards. It's the ability to work with a straight razor around the neck and around the face. To be a barber, you should be able to shave, trim, and groom beards. That is a difference, and that absolutely is a factor in the term barber. And we know in other languages today, barba would be beard, and that kind of lends itself in there as well. But we do have a direct correlation between the Western Germanic lingo of barb connecting it to a barber. Now that's pretty dang cool. Now we also have Bart, and that is going to be something that's going to lend itself to the beard that we have today in a bunch of different strings of lingo. Beard was used in many other ways other than our modern interpretation of facial hair around the cheeks and chin and neck of a male. I thought that was really cool to think about where this comes from, how it's evolved and changed over time. Hey, what do you guys think? Do you have any questions? Are there any other connections that you hear out there where you're like, ooh, barbarian. No, it didn't really work out that way, but I bet you there's some other branches that I didn't cover that maybe they're related, maybe they're not, but it would be fun to think about and possibly look into. And I hope you guys enjoyed this a little bit different today when we're talking about the root or origins of a word. I want to say thank you guys for watching. Please leave some comments if you have questions, if you have add-ons, if you have observations, if you have ideas for future videos or contents or things that you want to see. I would love to be able to help you guys out there the best I can. My name's Dan C. Bearded. Thank you again for watching. Please stay bearded and stay positive.